大家好，歡迎所有家人、親戚、朋友出席 Joane 同 Jerry 今晚嘅婚宴。我係 Cecilia，新娘嘅好朋友。我隔離呢位呢係 Alvin，我哋好高興作為今晚司儀。今晚安排咗好多精彩嘅活動，我哋會有新娘新郎朋友上台致辭啦，新娘同新郎會分享佢哋嘅成長片段啦，玩下啲遊戲同埋跳舞嘅。
Okay, so first we have 3 important announcements to make. The first of which is that we will be having a photo booth. The photo booth will be in the tea room from like 9:30 to 11:30 p.m. So make sure to go outside and check it out later. And if you do post anything on social media, they have a hashtag #KooBecomeOne. All right? Woo! All right, so the second announcement that I have to make is that we would really want you guys to make it home safely tonight because we'll be doing a lot of drinking and things like that. We have a shuttle service which runs every 30 minutes, starting from 9:45 p.m. all the way until 1:15 a.m. So we can party until that time. All right? There'll be 2 stops for the shuttle. One will be to the Westin Bayshore Hotel, and the second one will be to Waterfront Station, so the Canada line. And then the last announcement that I have is that we're gonna have some amazing speeches tonight. So during the speeches, please be mindful of the noise, and please turn your phones to silent because the videographers here are gonna be working pretty hard, I think, and hopefully they'll be recording some of the speeches.
首先，我哋有幾個重要嘅信息話俾大家知嘅。由9點半開始到11點半，可以到 photo booth 影下相留為紀念。photo booth 將會喺門口對外嘅小廳，希望大家會享用。今晚 Joane 同 Jerry 安排咗晚餐後酒吧無限量供應所有飲品，所以希望大家歡迎大家飲嘅。如果飲酒飲得太多嘅朋友呢，記住唔好酒後駕駛。我哋有提供巴士服務，由9點45分開始，每30分鐘會有巴士送到 Westin Bayshore 酒店同市中心嘅 Waterfront SkyTrain Station。最後一班車會1點15分離開。希望今晚大家盡情玩得開心啲，食得開心啲。而家由 Alvin 首先上台講幾句祝福話俾今晚對新人嘅。想提一提大家保持安靜，所有親戚朋友可以專心聽到佢嘅祝福。Now Alvin will start the night off with our first speech.
Thank you. Perfect. My slideshow is up. So this is pretty stressful for me because, I want to do a really good job. And so I'll do my best, all right, everyone? Okay, so Joane, Jerry, I'm really honored to give my first ever wedding speech on your special day today. To those in the audience who have already forgotten my name, I'm Alvin, and I've known Jerry Koo since we were 16 years old. We've actually gone through more than 10 years of schooling together, side by side, literally sitting next to each other in the same classes. And what's more than that, Jerry and I used to live about 1 minute away from each other. So we would bus or carpool to school together. During those 10 years, it was like we were the same person. It was nuts. So Jerry, although now you're in Toronto for residency, I'm still sad and bitter about that. We remain best friends. What I wanted to do a little bit today is to share some of our moments in our friendship together throughout high school, undergrad, and medical school for all of you to learn a little bit more about Jerry. So this is us back in 2008 at our high school graduation. I first met Jerry when we were in grade 11. And no, we didn't become instant best friends. In fact, we were actually very different people back in high school. You have to know how Jerry was like in high school. He was cool. He played on the school basketball team and had a lot of friends both on that team and off that team, and he owned a car. Whereas for me, I played on the school badminton team, and I didn't own a car. Jerry would get good grades during high school, but he seemed like he would take it chill. Like he would be pretty easygoing. He never seemed to study too hard, and sometimes he would even sleep in class. Whereas for me, I had to work really hard for my grades. The library was like my second home. I remember in grade 12, when it was time to apply for university, Jerry came up to me and asked me what I was applying for, and I told him human kinetics, which is this really small program at UBC. And it turned out that Jerry was applying for the exact same program. This was actually really crazy because none of our friends applied to human kinetics, and actually, out of the whole entire graduating class of 250 students at Richmond High, we were the only 2 people who applied for human kinetics. So despite our differences in high school, somehow we ended up going to university together. And looking back now, I'm super happy and thankful that we got to do that, and I wouldn't have it any other way. So fast forward to the next slide. This is us graduating from kinesiology. So human kinetics was renamed kinesiology in 2012, along with our good friend Jason Liang, who's also here today. Where is he? Hey, Jason. So we worked hard in undergrad because we wanted to get into medical school. So I got to introduce Jerry to my second home, the library, and we had lots of study sessions together at Woodward Library, and even pulled an all-nighter once at Irving K. Barber. But occasionally, Jerry would sleep in and miss class. And next slide, please. One time, even slept in and missed half of a final exam, as you can see in this Facebook post, which is really good evidence from November 2011. Next slide. And Jerry would also motivate me throughout undergrad. He would motivate me to continue working hard, and we kept each other accountable. If there's one word I could use to describe my friendship with Jerry, it would be that of synergistic, which means that by working together, we were able to achieve much more than if we were to do it by ourselves alone. Next slide, please. So we made it. We made it into medical school together, and we graduated side by side in 2016. And next slide. Jerry would remain the same though. He would continue sleeping in class, even during medical school, as evidenced by this collage made by our good friend Wayne Hung here, who was a guest MC. But it wasn't all just school and studying. We had a lot of fun as well throughout it all. Every Wednesday, we would go for wings night with our friends, almost religiously. We also traveled to Hong Kong and Taiwan together. And when we were in Taiwan, I got to stay at Jerry's family's place, and I got to meet his extended family. I remember having a great time shrimp fishing, going to Taipei 101, going to the night markets and eating good food, going to the water park. But the most important highlight I wanted to mention is on the next slide, which is Jerry getting addicted to playing the claw game machine, or Jawawa. Jerry also introduced me to life outside of the library, such as enjoying the nightlife in Vancouver. And on the next slide, this is a picture of us with our friends. A lot of our friends are here today at a music festival at the Gorge Amphitheater. Jerry also gave me great dating advice. And when I first met my girlfriend, Donna, who's here, I told Jerry that I had met this smart, beautiful pharmacist on the ward where I was working as a resident on. And we got to talking about it, and then we found out that Joane had actually been pharmacy and residency school classmates with Donna. So I was able to get some insider information and eventually get together with her. I could go on and on, but my time is running out. The last thing I want to do is to just share one of the best pieces of advice that I've ever been given, which is to remember the people who have helped you get to where you are. And when I think back to myself, and I think back to all the people who have helped me, Jerry tops that list. So Jerry, thank you for helping me get to where I am today. I couldn't have done it without you, and I truly mean that. It sometimes scares me when I think about what if either you or I didn't apply to human kinetics all the way back in high school. It's scary because we did and accomplished so much together, and we had so much fun doing so. I just want to say that I'm really proud of you, that you're my best friend, and that I will always have your back.
Hi, everyone. So as you all know by now, I am one of tonight's MCs, but not only that, I'm also one of Joanne's longtime friends. So Joane and I met over in 8th grade over 15 years ago now. I still remember it was our first science class at Incentive with Mr. Elliott, where we were assigned seats, and I was seated with the same group as 2 others and Joane. Her name was Joane with one N, and she looked like someone I probably shouldn't mess around with, so I made sure I spelled her name right. Also, I was a little bit intimidated by Joane at first. She seemed like she took school rather seriously, and she did. Year over year, she went on to sweep up most of the academic awards at Incentive, and you can see how much she has worked. You can see how much hard work she has put in today to her career to date. That aside, I got to know Joane very well personally, since we started hanging out with the same friend group and became great friends. She is funny and always laughing when we're around together, and she is a friend who will always be completely honest and upfront with you, most of the time with a bit of sass. Our friendship was built on a lot of things that Joane and I shared in common. Joane was my karaoke buddy, and we'd be always practicing our twins and love song duets, even if it meant that it was just the 2 of us. Joane would let me sing my Jay Chou ballads while I tried to keep up with her SHE and Rainy Yang selection. We kept each other updated with Taiwanese and Korean celebrity gossip, even when I moved across the country during university. And as we grew older, our nights were occupied playing board games with our friends till late night, drinking our beers and highballs while Joane held tightly to her Palm Bay, since one a night is enough for her. Everyone was really competitive in these games, but Joane probably the most. And there was a lot of yelling and betrayal of friendships, but we would just laugh it off at the end of when the night was over. 15 years of friendship doesn't come easy. We've seen each other through many ups and downs, and I have shared many great memories. Joane, I value so much the friendship we have, and I'm so glad to be part of your life. A few years ago, my friends were throwing a New Year's Eve party at the Fairmont, and someone had invited Jerry along. Okay. that wasn't meant to be funny, but I don't know why. So the single guy to single girl ratio at this party was about like 10 to 1, 15 to 1. I'm not really sure, but what I do know was that single one was Joane. So the odds were in her favor. The next day, Joane tells us that she had met Jerry, with whom she went on a date with at Tim Hortons. Apparently, he didn't even need to buy her coffee. Oh, he didn't even buy her coffee. I actually know Jerry from Richmond High since I attended there as well, and I remember him being in a few of my classes. I didn't know him very well, but had I known that he would end up with my good friend Joane, I would have kept a closer eye on him sooner. Their relationship progressed quickly, and in no time, Jerry had won her heart over. I think not quite a year into their relationship, Joane gathered what we call the Sea crew, which consists of me, Joane, and our close friend Van, because she had some big news to tell us. Jerry had been accepted into residency in Toronto and had asked her to move away with him. I could see what a big decision it was for Joane and how troubled she was with it. Her life was rooted in Vancouver, and moving away would mean leaving her family, friends, job, everything. As much as we'd love for her to stay, we could tell that her heart was with Jerry, and she left. Since then, I've met up with Joane a few times in Toronto, and I'm truly happy for the life that they've grown into, and I couldn't have wished for more for Joane. Joane, you are a wonderful friend. I miss not having you around in Vancouver anymore and always laughing at each other's jokes. As a friend, I am proud to see how you've grown as a person over the years and to find love that you deserve so much. Jerry, you are a lucky one. I know you'll take great care of Joane, and please remember, Joane doesn't like to be hangry. Make sure she's well fed. I've been married for a little over a year now, so I'm still trying to figure out this marriage thing, which doesn't always seem as easy as it seems. If I may give you two a piece of advice, it would be to remind yourself of why you love each other every day. When life gets busy or tough, or when you disagree on things, just remember why you chose to be here with each other today and for the rest of your lives. To Joane and Jerry, wish you an amazing marriage full of laughter and happiness. Cheers.
Hello, everybody. I'd just like to say a few words tonight. I've been trying really hard not to drink until I finish my speech, so I'm going to try to keep this as short as possible. But before I begin, can we please all just take one more second to admire how beautiful the bride Joane looks tonight, and how beautiful her bridesmaids are as well. Jerry, it's nice to see you took the time to shave off that little goatee you usually have. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Justin, and I've had the pleasure of knowing Jerry since we were two kids just entering high school at the young age of 13. And I'm thrilled and honored to be part of his wedding party tonight. I can't quite pinpoint the exact moment when I first met Jerry, but I can tell you all about one of the earliest moments I remember of him. It was in grade 8. Basketball tryouts were taking place after school, and as a young, impressionable boy eager to make a name for himself, I had to go and try out. I mean, everyone knows that if you make the basketball team, you're automatically one of the cool kids, right? And I remember seeing this kind of tall, super skinny boy who wore shorts that were way too big for him, trying out as well. You guessed it, that boy was Jerry. I remember watching Jerry play as he moved in and out between other players, ball handling, and thinking to myself, wow, this guy is actually pretty good. especially for someone whose pants are halfway down to his ankles. It was nearing the end of tryouts, though, and for the last assessment, we got put into teams to play against each other. As luck would have it, I got put on the same team as Jerry. I remember there was this one play where I stole the ball from the other team and rushed down the court with Jerry close behind me. And as the other team was right about to get back on defense, I passed the ball behind my back into Jerry, and he secured an easy basket. And thus elevating us both to the status of cool kids in high school. It was from that day forward, though, that I knew someone like Jerry is a person that I can count on to always have my back. I knew that I had met someone awesome whom I wanted to be friends with. Fast forward from there, Jerry continued to support our friendship by being a positive role model in my life. He was with me for my first real job, working at Champ Sports, where we consistently blew our entire $200 paycheck on new shoes. He was there for me during our first real trip outside of Canada to Cancun, where we ate hot dogs and drank rum and coke until we couldn't move anymore. But most importantly, he was always there for me to take me clubbing every Friday and Saturday night, all throughout university, where we'd be constantly rejected by girls. It would take someone special to turn Jerry from a boy into a responsible man. Someone who was tough enough to put Jerry in his place when needs be. Someone who is strong enough to challenge Jerry and his opinions when he's made up his mind. And that person is Joane. I remember the first time Jerry met Joane, I immediately received a text from him telling me he wanted to date this girl. I've never seen him so captivated by someone so quickly, and it's very clear why. Joane, you are an amazing woman. And while I know Jerry works long hours and can be stubborn at times, there's also no one else who will take care of you and love you unconditionally the way that he will. You two are the perfect complements for each other, and I know that you're in good hands. After all, he is a doctor. Jerry, although we don't get to hang out as often as we used to anymore, I see you've grown and matured with Joane by your side. She is the positive influence in your life, and so treasure that and don't ever let that go. So, now finally, I get to take a sip from my drink. If everybody could please join me in toasting our new bride and groom, I wish you a lifetime of love and happiness. Cheers. Thank you.
Okay, hi, good evening, everyone. First of all, I'd like to thank Joane for choosing me to be her maid of honor. I'm truly touched to be such an important part of your special day, and you look absolutely stunning tonight. For those who don't know me, my name is Elaine, and I first got to know Joane through work when we were at BC Children's together. The first time I met her, I was actually tasked by our boss to take her out for coffee and be her mentor, and because she just started at the hospital. At the time, I had just finished teaching an array of students who were, let's just say, less than competent, and my patience was wearing thin. So needless to say, I was not exactly ecstatic about taking the new girl out for coffee. Nonetheless, I obliged and I took her to Starbucks to try to get to know her. And little did I know, this was the start of an amazing friendship. My first impression of Joane was that she was prim and proper. She actually spoke to me like she was in a job interview, which I actually didn't really mind because I do appreciate professional colleagues. And as time went on and we worked together in the same office, I found Joane quite a joy to work with. She's smart, dependable, somebody who really knows what she's doing. And we really didn't become close until one day she burst into a rant about one of her biggest pet peeves. People who are, let's just say, less than competent. I knew right then and there that this sassy girl was going to be a great friend of mine. After breaking the ice, Joane was much more comfortable chatting and asking for advice, not only about work, but also about life. She started calling me sensei, which always made me feel just a little bit ancient, but I did also find it very endearing, in that it really made me feel like her older sister and somebody she could really confide in. I remember the day that Joane told me she was thinking of moving to Toronto to be with Jerry, and she wanted to know what I thought. I most definitely had the initial protective, like sisterly instinct and questioned her about why she was considering moving to Toronto for a guy. But as she spoke, I could tell that she was really struggling with the decision to leave her friends and family. And I knew right then and there that she was serious and that her heart really belonged to Jerry. So as much as I knew I would miss working with her and hanging out with her, I told her to follow her heart. And her heart has led her to where she is today. And that fills me with an incredible amount of joy. Jerry, I don't know a lot about you, but what I do know is that you're a very smart guy, because after all, you chose Joane to be your wife. And you already know who the boss is in the relationship. So jokes aside, I know you make Joane very happy, and I'm equally happy for you both. It must not be easy for you two to be away from so many friends and family in Vancouver. But I hope you know that we are all behind you, supporting you to build a long, happy marriage. So at this time, I will get everyone to raise their glasses for a toast to Joane and Jerry, wishing you love, laughter, and happily ever after. Cheers.
Hey everyone, this is John. I don't think my speech will be great following those guys. It's kind of a hard act to follow. Now, I've known Jerry for about 29 years, so it means I can take 29 minutes, right? Cool, let's just get it out of the way. No, I'm joking, I won't take that long. So honestly, Jerry and I go way back. And as far as elder brothers go, I think I'm pretty good, except not really. Like, Elvin and Justin talked about how Jerry was a good model. Thank you. So Elvin and Justin talked about how Jerry was a good model and how he helped them move forward in life. I was definitely not that brother for him. So we are 5 years apart, and one of the things I remember the most when I was young, I'm pretty sure Jerry remembers the most as well, is that I picked on him all the time. Like, he was easy target. Come on, it's 5 years. So we had a cousin that was between us, and he's also big built like I was, and Jerry was scrawny from the start, so he was the easy target of the family. But I'm glad he turned out okay. So we actually also shared a room forever. So there are stuff I can tell you that he probably don't want anyone to know, like how old he was when he still had to have his stuffed animals in bed with him. A hint, pretty old. Yeah, so I can remember one thing. It happens a lot. We keep each other awake at night because we snore. So I remember and Jerry is kind of a little bit louder. At least I think he is, because I don't know how loud I snore, obviously. So yeah, but I would hear him, he's like, "John, shut up!" Like, well, I can't help it. I was asleep. Anyways, I want to turn your attention to the screen for a second. So this is the time I would like to call Jerry's dark ages. I'm kind of glad his face didn't freeze that way. He turned out okay. In fact, at home we had his nickname was the handsome guy. Partly was because he spent a lot of time on choosing what to wear and doing hair and all that kind of stuff. But honestly, he was the handsome one in the family. Yeah. Okay. So yeah. Okay. So I also remember Jerry's resourcefulness when he was a kid. There was one day where I think he was like angry with me for something, and he decided to lock himself in our room. 2 hours later, I decided to pick the lock to see what he was doing. So when I got in there, he had a makeshift tower. It was like just a stool with 3 legs, so it's not even very stable. And he put about like 5 textbooks on it, and he was on top of all that with a stick in his hand trying to access our attic that was in our closet. So I'm like, what the heck are you going? Anyways, he was a bit too scared to jump off at that time, so he was kind of like, I don't know how long he was there, just kind of like shaking his pants, but he was there. I had to go save him. Anyways, and just Jerry has always been the more emotional of the two of us. I'm a Vulcan. I just want to say that I'm thankful and proud of the way that he turned out with no help from me. And my advice was simply with this, is that, think before you act. That's something that we don't do very often, and especially when emotions get high, and just knowing our family, all the guys in our family are very stubborn as well. Yeah, so be the first one to say sorry. Sometimes it's just as easy as that. Yeah, and let us raise our glass, which I didn't bring up. No, to Jerry, the handsome one, and Joane, thank you for allowing him to be your husband. Welcome to the family, Joane. It's good to see you.
Hi everyone. Jerry and I would like to take a moment to show our appreciation for everyone in this room. You have all contributed to make such a night possible. First, we would like to thank our vendors and our wedding planner, Melanie. It wasn't easy trying to plan a wedding from halfway across the country, but we were able to make it happen with your help, so thank you. I also want to thank my bridesmaids. First of all, I met Elaine, Karen, and Sandra at my first real job as a pharmacist. Work was stressful and tough at times, but you girls were one of my motivations to go to work every day. I will always fondly remember all the gossip, ranting, and laughter in the office. Special thanks to my maid of honor, Elaine. You were a mentor, my sensei, and the big sister I never had. Cecilia and Vanessa, thank you both for being there for me since grade 8. It's amazing how even though we don't talk or see each other every day, or that even that often, but when we do get together, it's like not a day has passed. It's been an amazing 16 years, but with many more to come. I also want to take this time to say a few words to my family in Chinese. 首先好多謝大家可以嚟參加我哋嘅婚禮。我想借呢次機會向我屋企人講幾句説話。由細到大，我知道我好任性、好倔強，但係無論點都好，你哋都咁錫我。
媽咪爸爸為咗俾更好嘅生活我知道你哋犧牲咗好多，特別係媽咪，無論我想做啲乜嘢，你都咁支持我，你係無條件咁付出，我記得有一日我突然間話我要去多倫多，你冇鬧我一句怨言都冇，只係話我開心，你就會幫我去完成。喺我寫呢段説話嘅時候，我先發現其實我冇認真咁同你講過一句我好愛你嘅。还有就是我想和 Jerry 的家人说，谢谢你们这么欢迎我加入你们的家庭，我会好好照顾他的，我们会很幸福的，谢谢。
也要感谢 Joane 的家人给我了一个这么好的太太，今后我会好好照顾她的，请放心吧。So, a lot of kind and wonderful words have been said about Joane and a little bit to a lesser extent myself the whole evening. So I thought I'd take advantage of the opportunity to return the favor. We first want to thank Joanne's incentive and high school crew for always being there for her, putting up with her competitiveness, letting her win at all the board games apparently. And special shout out to Van and Annie for organizing that apparently infamous New Year's Eve party where Joane and I first met. There was actually a lot of competition that night for Joanne's attention from a lot of eligible bachelors, including a few in this room. So I guess I'm really lucky she chose me. Another big thank you also for Joanne's pharmacy class friends, Ian, Steph, Agnes, and Tori. I see some of you actually switched over to the dark side, medicine. Terrible choice. And I'll again thank Joanne's BC Children's crew and apologize that I took her with me to Toronto, but we are always very appreciative of your support from near and from afar. Next, a big thank you to my Richmond High friends who put up with me during my teenage years. And in undergrad, I'll always be grateful for Jason and Alvin for letting me copy their notes when I couldn't make it to class and keeping me awake all those times that I did make it to class. And I'll have to thank those that helped me get through med school as well. Calvin for making those family medicine clinics tolerable. Karen for putting up with my amazing matchmaking skills. And of course, Terry, Wayne, Gertej, Alvin, I hope we can always continue making the secret hand signals, the WhatsApp collages, and taking pics in our matching hoodies for years to come. And a big thank you to my neurosurgery crew for coming all the way from Toronto and for being such a great group. I honestly spend way more time with you than I do my own fiance and now wife. So at least you guys make it tolerable. And I also have to thank Joanne's Sick Kids Hospital friends, Mandy and Vonda, for making her feel like home in a new city and a new job. And I also want to thank the Anjuna family. Thank you for letting me into the squad. I enjoy our study sessions together, and I can't wait for more of our trips. And now, the groomsmen. Justin, you were my first friend in high school. Even though you don't remember, I still remember the day we first met. Grade 8, it was in Mr. Dietrich's metalworking class. It's hard to imagine how we came so far from those days with the saggy jeans and the basketball tryouts to selling shoes at Champs to today. But here we are. Even though we don't end up hanging out or talking every day, I know I can always count on you, whenever I need to, like today. And Alvin, where do I even start? Ever since we've met, you've been with me every step of the way. from high school to undergrad to med school to today. And I feel like I've always followed your shining example. The funny thing is, the only reason I went into kinesiology, or HKIN, was I didn't really know what I was doing after high school. So one day in grade 11, I just said, "Hey, Alvin, what are you applying to?" He's like, "Oh, I'm applying to this thing." I said, "Well, I've never heard of it, but sounds pretty interesting." And the rest is history. I don't think I would have made it this far without your support, guidance, and friendship. I'm proud to call you my best friend. Next, I have to thank my family. I know I wasn't the most well-behaved kid growing up. Thank you for putting up with me and supporting me and raising me. A very specific thank you to my big brother, John. You're only 5 years older than me, yet you are always so mature, taking on so much responsibility. After our mom passed away, you were always taking such good care of me and looking out for me, from then and even till now, and in the future. I probably don't show as much gratitude as I should, but I'm proud to have you as my brother and my best man. And Joane. I could stay up here all night and still not find all the words I want to say to describe how I feel about you. Luckily, I have the rest of my life to do that. Okay? So a toast to my beautiful bride, Joane, and everyone in this room that made this night possible. Let me get my drinks. Okay. Cheers.